Blog Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Lectures of Fallen Wisdom. Today I'm going to talk about, I blanked on it. No, today I'm going to talk about art and the only way you can convince your molecules that you're worth staying together. And the only way that you can convince anyone of anything. If you want people to come to your point of view, direct argument is never going to work. The only thing that really works on a mass scale is art. If you can create a great piece of art, people will listen to what you say. They will look at your art and they will look at you and they'll be like, you know what, I'm going to consider your opinion because of this art that you made. But other than that, you're just another guy with a fucking opinion. Everybody has one. And they disregard you. And you could have the best arguments. You could write a whole dissertation on it with proofs and mathematical equations. It wouldn't matter. They don't care. They don't listen to you. Why? Because they're not impressed by you. So, we've gone to seek out other people's approval because it's part of our DNA to just ingratiate ourselves with our fellow human, and we get a pleasure from it. We get a pleasure from people liking and admiring us. But we don't think of it as a tool that if you really get people to admire you in a fundamental way, that because you stand out, you genuinely stand out, the best way to do that is through art. I mean, you can do that by making a ton of money. But the problem with that is it's not inherently satisfying the way art is. Art, your molecules need to be convinced that you're doing a good thing. Remember, in order for you to stay in one piece and immortal, basically, your molecules have to agree that they will be immortal with you. Because if your molecules get bored with you, they're dissipating. And boring lives create aged bodies. Boring lives create basically a set of molecules that want to escape. They want to get off this boring cruise and get on something more exciting. And so they're trying to dissolve you. The unifying principle is if you're creating something of beauty that their individual molecules could not create alone, or they can't conceive of it creating something on that level. An artist, somebody who makes a unique piece of art that nobody else in the world makes, is so valuable. It's like a diamond in this sea of coal. And if you can convince your molecules that they're on their way to becoming that diamond, even if you don't even make it as an artist, it doesn't matter. It's not about really making it. You will make it among whoever comes into contact with your art, if it's really good, is just going to be like, wow. Like, they're going to be in awe of you, and they are going to treat you like royalty. And it doesn't matter that if you're not like world famous artists, it's like, that's not the point. But if you get to be that, you will be able to command a lot of attention. You will be able to, your opinion will hold sway. I mean, look at that guy in U2, Bono. He's parlayed like a garage band into like him influencing world affairs and creating peace and finding solutions, whatever. He got stuff done because of a few sets that he learned to sing of some rock songs, because no one else did it. I mean, he was a unique guy. He was able to intervene and become whatever and do things and get people to see his point of view. You'll never, like I said, you'll never get it any other way, really. I mean, even if you're just like totally rich, I mean, that might be a way. But there's just nothing inherently. The problem with pursuing riches as your form of art is that your molecules don't necessarily find that exciting. Your molecules kind of still will rebel against you if that's your life, if that's all that your life is doing. Your molecules need to really genuinely feel like they're living out something unique, something is on the cusp of some greatness. And money is not greatness. Money does not equal greatness. In fact, money takes away a lot from greatness. Because what are the chances you're going to become a great, awesome artist after you've accumulated tons and tons of money? It's just almost, it's unheard of, let's put it that way. I'm sure there are exceptions that prove the rule, but this is not something that you see a lot of. So pursuing art is very important. So whatever it is, it just has to be something that you create that no one else is creating, that has a certain amount of experimentation, certain amount of craftsmanship, that it looks like you've spent some time on it, and you actually have spent time on it, and you've gone into it, and you've figured out what you like about other people's art, and you've put it into your art. So you study the masters that you like, mimic them for a while. If you find somebody that's really compelling in whatever genre of art it is, just copy them for a little while. Just learn everything that they've done. Go over the strokes that they did, and then just move, and then use that. Then those become tools in your arsenal to become your own artist. It's not, you can become an understudy of an artist or whatever. But the point is, do it. Do some kind of art. Otherwise, your molecules will rebel. They'll rebel anyway. If you're not pursuing your art in a way that's cutting edge, that's going to really shine in the sea of mediocrity, your molecules will just be like, you know what, whatever, and get bored with you too. It's not, you can't just be, making, I was going to say, you can't just be making model airplanes, but I think you can. I think that's a perfectly good piece of art, because there's some really fascinating ones and some really good ones. And if that's what you want to do, go ahead, do it. What I do is I'm a rapper. I don't think I'll ever get anywhere with it, but I don't really care. Anytime anyone sees me do it, they know that I can do it and that I'm good. And that's because I spent time on it. And there's just there's no reason not to. In fact, that's the only thing keeping me in this crazy world of fucking obligation after obligation. It's the only thing that keeps me feeling grounded in some kind of eternity. Otherwise, you're just a cog in a wheel. You're just a battery, a money battery for these banks. And you're just charging up at night, and you're basically charging up with money, and then they're just slowly getting it back from you. It's if you really look at the money matrix in this country, art stands outside of that. Art should stand outside of that. Yes, some art can make money, but that shouldn't be the goal. To make really good art that inspires your molecules. And your molecules will be inspired by great art. Sometimes it'll take you to have to step back from it and then look at it after a day or two to see what it is. But don't stop doing it. I was painting for a while, and for some reason I just stopped, watching a lot of TV. I used to paint and watch TV. At least I'm painting, right? That's the thing. If you're not doing something creative with every moment of your life, you're kind of wasting your time. If you're sitting there watching, for example, on TV, somebody else's creation, unless you're fucking eating or something, you're basically just wasting your potential to make creative stuff yourself. And you know how not only do your molecules get impressed by that, the very God in the sky, which I've always thought of as a woman, the God in the sky looks down and she starts to get hot for you in the same way that these teeny boppers get hot for a rock star. Just think of God as like a teenage girl. Well, does the teenage girl want to look down and see you jerking it off to porn? Or does it want to see you doing some great art, perfecting it, So, and whenever you do get famous, if you do, you're not abusing it and using it for trying to solve the world's problems. Because somebody that's created great art to the point where they're famous, they have so much fucking power. And I've seen these motherfuckers, they all waste it, almost all of them. It's few and far between. The Bonos of the world are few and far between because they don't look at the grand vision. They're just like, how do I get back on top? It's like, dude, you already have a name. Like, get out there. Now, you still got to keep doing art. The mistake is that just don't rest on your laurels. You still got to put out some good stuff. Bono should still be doing music right now, and the reason that he's not is why he's aging. If he kept the U2 band going while he's doing his world tour and trying to change the earth for the better, he wouldn't age at all. Especially if he's putting out some hot shit. But let's face it, he hasn't put out a hit in years. And that's the thing. Is he putting out good stuff? I mean, I actually haven't checked it out, so I can't really say. But my point is, if he's not, then he's going to be aging. If he's not really pushing the envelope still musically today, all his piecework and all his, it's slowing down. It's definitely slowing his down. His molecules are impressed, believe me, with what he's able to do with the world. And, I don't even know. I really studied this guy too much. Maybe he's an asshole. But my point is that if he is the guy that I think he is, which is just like this guy who had a band, made some great art, made a name for himself, became a huge rock star, and then went on to like persuade people of his opinions. If that's who he is, then he needed to stay a rock star. Not a rock star, but still playing music. And I hope he is. And that's the lesson. It's just, you need, if you want to be in a state of constant, I talk about this state of being like in the moment, constant bliss. And when you're creating art, you're in the moment. And your particular thing, instead of letting your mind be invaded by poisonous, lethal thoughts, because you're blocking those out to focus on art. It's a great way to stay in the bliss state. At one point I was like mentioning watching TV and that's just like the cheapest way to get there. And guess what? Your molecules, they're not going to like you sitting around watching too much TV. They like some. They actually do. They're happy to watch a good show or a good movie here and there. Spending your whole day in front of the TV and you're not getting anything done. You're just like watching back-to-back stuff or just binging and binging and binging. Their molecules aren't going to be too happy. I think I've said molecules like more than probably anyone has ever said in a podcast. But I think it's important to think about it on the like the very, very base level of just like of quantum level of where you need to be staying together and staying young. This is not something where you can just do a good diet or just take the right testosterone replacement or whatever. You need to be inspiring and it inspires you too. You need to be inspiring your own self. You need to be impressing yourself. To the extent that you're not impressing yourself, that's going to be like the more lust you have to command the affection of another one. Like if you're a guy and you have like really just, you're not really inspired with yourself and you're not really impressing yourself, hot women take on this godlike quality. Like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. Because they have the power to give you that feeling that you're something, even when you're not, just by their beauty. If they were just to give you a little attention, you could just feel that spark of greatness again, just from her looking at you and like liking you. But it's all based on the fact that you're not inspired with yourself. When you're like truly inspired with yourself, you're not fazed by beautiful women. Beautiful women are a dime a dozen, and you see that, and you don't get dazzled by it, because you understand that they actually, also another reason why you don't get dazzled by it is because they're all interested in you. And you don't have to wish they would be. They are. They want you. Because when you're inspired with yourself, all women are into you. All of them. But when you're not, they're not. And so it's like you're not and it's weird, like women can sense it. They can look at you and they can be like, that guy is not happy with himself. and it's totally obvious when you're not. That's the thing. Like when you're not in a bliss state, you're ugly. You're very ugly. You have this horrible kind of crooked, serious look on your face. You ever walk by someone that you know, and you see them they just think no one's looking at them, and you come up upon them and they have this like angry scowl on their face, and then they see you, and then they put on their face that they give other people, which is like a smiley face, like a happy face, like hi. And you realize that, hey, most people, they spend their time in the other face. And the other face is like a map that tells you what the fuck is going on in their head, which is not good. It's just like, it's negative, it's anxiety, it's annoyance, it's just like anything but pleasant. And if they were really feeling good, there would be a smile on their face. And I've actually even advocated that you should probably keep a smile on your face all the time. Just a slight smile, just to remind yourself, because once you have a smile on your face and then you start to get into some negative thinking, the incongruency of your smile and the negative thought wakes you up. And if you can say, okay, and then you kind of steer away from the negative thinking, you clear your mind, you use the mind sweep, you tell yourself to disengage, and you move on with your life, being in bliss, being without thoughts. So the smile is like a blocker. And if you can keep, just while you're breathing, part of your daily routine now, breathe deeply and keep a slight smile, not an insane like serial killer smile, but just a slight pleasant grin all the time, and watch how it blocks the negative thoughts and eventually becomes a feedback loop. You don't need computers to do biofeedback. You just need your face. Another thing I'm going to talk about next week or next time, maybe next hour, is the focus and how furrowing your brow can actually create a focus that you didn't have before, even though you're completely unfocused. And we're going to get into the focus-unfocus thing. I think I've discussed it, but I think it's an important area here. But the first thing is first, find a cool art that you really admire. Find a few examples of it and really study them. Believe me, you're not going to become immortal without it. So you better get cracking. If you're like, oh, I'm not an artistic person. Well, get to be one. Figure out how to do something, and do it, because we're talking fundamentals here. This is fundamental. This really is something you can't avoid. I'm sorry. Believe me, though, you will thank me later. So I guess I got to go, but I'll be in touch. So keep that smile on your face. Keep deep breathing, sweeping the mind of all thoughts that are not intentional, and moving on into forever. This is Lectures of Fallen Wisdom.